Good afternoon, I'm Rob Boskamp, and you're listening to South Texas Midday. The city of Corpus Christi has released 3 notices of funding availability to address homelessness, housing, and community development needs. Organizations providing services to low and moderate income individuals are encouraged to apply. Applications will be received through June 3rd. The U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development provides funds through the Community Development Block Grant, the Home Investment Partnerships Program, and the Emergency Solutions Grant. Organizations interested in applying can learn more at corpuschristitx.gov. A technical assistance workshop will be held at 9 a.m. next Thursday at City Hall in the Executive Conference Room. Restaurants in the Rio Grande Valley impacted by flooding can now apply for relief funding to help them recover through the DoorDash Restaurant Disaster Relief Fund. The announcement comes after March's devastating flooding throughout the valley. The relief fund provides $10,000 relief grants to local restaurants affected by state or federally declared natural disasters. The grants can be used to cover operating costs like rent or mortgage repayments, food and beverage inventory, and supplier costs. The average small business loses $3,000 every day they remain closed, and nearly 40% of small businesses are unable to reopen at all following a disaster. More information can be found at merchants.doordash.com. A flood finance bill for the Delta area passed the Texas House on Monday. If signed into law by Governor Greg Abbott, Senate Bill 1967 will allow the Delta Region Water Management Project to qualify for funding under the Flood Infrastructure Fund. SB 1967 amends the state's water code to expand the criteria for projects that are eligible for FIF funding, which is administered by the Texas Water Development Board. The Delta Region Water Management Project is a regional water supply and flood mitigation project located in the northernmost areas of Hidalgo County and southern Willacy County. The next step will be for the Senate to concur with any House changes before the bill is sent to Abbott for his signature. We now take a look at Texas law, which allows 16-year-old criminal offenders to be sent to state prisons for adults. But KERA's Marina Martinez reports that a Senate bill currently being considered would lower that age to 15.
This change would mean that a 15-year-old who commits a second felony in a juvenile facility would be transferred to an adult prison. Youth Justice Director for Texas Appleseed, Brett Murfish, says that's harsher on children than adults.
And it creates a blanket rule across the system that makes it so that on a second felony of any sort, the penalties go up for kids. We don't do that to adults until they've done 3 felonies.
The bill intends to protect staff from violent juveniles. Recently, a Dallas County juvenile detention officer was severely injured by a female in custody who was younger than 15. Marina Trejan Martinez in Dallas.
Honoring America's veterans remains at the heart of Warriors Weekend in Victoria, and this year organizers are taking new steps to protect that mission. As the organization prepares to celebrate its 19th year of honoring wounded veterans and fallen heroes, enhanced security measures are being put in place at the Field of Honor following years of theft and vandalism. The Field of Honor now features about 1,800 American flags, but over the years, a handful of flags have been stolen and minor acts of vandalism have occurred. In response, organizers are installing a 15-camera surveillance system throughout the Field of Honor. The move is aimed at ensuring the field remains a place of reverence and respect. The new system will also enable a 24/7 live stream of the site, giving people from around the country the ability to pay their respects remotely. Tomorrow, traffic on Alameda Street will switch to the southbound lanes from Louisiana Avenue to Texan Trail, while the northbound lanes will be closed for road work. This phase of the project is expected to remain in effect through October. Traffic will be redirected to 2-way, single-lane traffic within the southbound lanes during this road work. Access to all businesses and the school in the work area will be maintained throughout construction. The Alamo Street project is expected to be completed by December. The Kingsville Independent School District will return to a 5-day school week beginning next semester, following a decision made during this past Tuesday's school board meeting. The board's vote reverses the 2023 decision to adopt a 4-day school week, which sparked mixed reactions from the community. According to a presentation shown during the meeting, the district gathered feedback over several months through surveys and research involving students, teachers, and parents. Also in education news, a bill to allow Texas schools to hold prayer and Bible reading sessions is under consideration in the Texas House. Houston Public Media's Andrew Schneider says the House Committee on State Affairs took testimony on the bill yesterday morning.
Senate Bill 11 would allow the Board of Trustees of a public school district or the governing body of a charter school to vote on whether to allow prayer or Bible reading in school. Republican Representative David Spiller introduced the bill.
Participation is entirely voluntary and requires a signed consent form from the employee or the parent or guardian of the student.
But Democratic Representative Chris Turner worried the measure could violate the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment.
If a student or their parent opts them out or doesn't opt them in, my concern would be peer pressure from fellow students, which could amount to coercion to participate.
SB 11's author, Republican Senator Mays Middleton of Galveston, is a candidate for Texas Attorney General. I'm Andrew Schneider in Houston.
We now go to the Texas-Mexico border, where the annual Hugs Not Walls event reuniting families on the border has been canceled. Organizers say the area where they plan to meet Saturday is now under military control. KTEP's Elida Muela reports from El Paso.
The Border Network for Human Rights has held the Hugs Not Walls event for nearly 10 years. The group works with federal authorities in the U.S. and Mexico to allow separated families to briefly embrace right on the borderline. U.S. Department of Defense last week established a military zone on the border in El Paso where the event usually happens. Fernando Garcia is the executive director of the Border Network for Human Rights.
So that was the dramatic decision that was made to actually cover all of this area under the pretext, again, the distorted narrative that there's an invasion.
The organization plans to gather on another stretch of border for Madres de las Fronteras, Love Without Borders. Mothers and children on both sides will celebrate with mariachis on Mexican Mother's Day, Saturday, May 10th. I'm Elida Muela in El Paso.
The city of Brownsville is taking a major step toward the future of its outdoor spaces and recreational services with the creation of a new Parks, Health, and Recreation Master Plan. This 10-year strategic plan will serve as a roadmap for expanding parkland, improving public health and wellness opportunities, and upgrading facilities and programming. The plan will also guide funding efforts for future projects and improve connectivity across the city's recreational network, ensuring residents have access to fun and inclusive community health activities. The new master plan will focus on several key areas, including parkland expansion, recreational programming, and environmental sustainability. The city hosted a series of public meetings last month. These open forums invited residents to share ideas, concerns, and aspirations for Brownsville's parks and recreational services. Funding for the plan is expected to come from multiple sources, including foundations, matching funds, and grants. And that could be a good thing for your mental health. A new study from Southern Methodist University highlights how access to green spaces like parks, trees, and walking trails play a crucial role in mental health. KERA's Catherine Hobbs has more.
Researchers at SMU found that historically underserved neighborhoods in Dallas, often lower income and predominantly Black or Latino, are especially impacted by lack of accessible green space. These infrastructure deserts lack basic outdoor amenities like parks and tree-shaded sidewalks, and residents there face higher rates of anxiety, depression, and chronic stress. The study found that even small changes like adding trees or shaded sidewalks can positively impact a resident's well-being. Projects like Dallas's 5-Mile Creek Greenbelt aim to address this gap, but researchers stress that green spaces must be safe, accessible, and equitably distributed to truly support community health. I'm Catherine Hobbs in Dallas.
In sports, it's set to be an interesting week for collegiate baseball and softball. We start in Victoria for the second time in the last 3 years. The University of Houston Victoria baseball program will compete for a national championship. Yesterday, the Jaguars were selected as the number 3 seed in the Lawrenceville bracket of the NAIA opening round next week at Georgia Gwinnett College's Grizzly Baseball Complex. They open the tournament against number 2 seeded Kaiser. This is the 5th NAIA tournament appearance in baseball for UHV and the first time in which the team has received an at-large bid to the tournament. And not to be outdone, UHV softball was also selected for their tournament for the 10th time in program history. They earned an at-large bid out of the Red River Athletic Conference and will be the number 4 seed at the Oklahoma City bracket of the opening round at Oklahoma City University's Ann Lacey Stadium. They open against number 5 Morningside at 1 p.m. Monday, with the winner facing Oklahoma City at 7 p.m. same day. This is the second consecutive season in which the Jaguars will compete for a national championship, and second straight year they've gone to Oklahoma City. Meanwhile, at Texas A&M Corpus Christi, it's do or die for the Islanders baseball team as they wrap up the 2025 regular season with a very important set of games beginning tonight. They welcome New Orleans to Chapman Field for a 3-game series, and postseason implications are on the line. The Islanders, 9-18 in Southland Conference play, enter the week in a tie for the final spot in the SLC Baseball Championships. currently sitting with the same conference record as Nicholls State. Due to their previous series loss at the hands of the Colonels, though, they find themselves without possession of the tiebreaker, meaning they need to win one more game than Nicholls over the final 3 to earn the 8th seed. Game 1 is tonight at 6 p.m. at Chapman Field at Texas A&M Corpus Christi. The series can be watched online on ESPN+. You can visit plus.espn.com. By the way, if you ever happen to miss any of our stories on South Texas Midday, you can always catch us on replay. You can follow, download, and listen to KEDT South Texas Midday wherever you get your podcast. You can check out this and previous episodes on our playlists. And that is the latest news and information on South Texas Midday. I'm Rob Boskamp. Your community arts calendar and more is on the way.